had this position pre-picked out from spring scouting, and I marked the tree on my phone, and so did Rick. And Rick was to set up over there, me over here, and there's a little point coming out right here, and all the bedding's on that point. Well, I remembered I could hit the corner of the point right over here. Rick's phone didn't seem to have the marks in the right place, and I didn't get my phone out, and that was a huge mistake, because my phone had them marked exactly where the spot is. And we walked past my spot and walked into the corner over there and realized we were past it. And there's no place to set up over there. Real high weeds and no trees, so there was no way to get a shot off of that. So we backed out, backed up to here. I am 30 yards from that spot, but I can't hit that spot. These trees, as you can see in the background, are less than ideal. But that's why nobody's hunting in here. There's a couple good trees over there, but they're out of range. That doesn't help us. So I've got a clear shooting lane right here. We walked into there and stopped. I'm hoping, with it being 1 o'clock when we walked in there, that by the time the deer come out, maybe the scent's dissipated enough that they walk past it, or maybe they back up and come out over here. There's a good scrape over here that's used year-round, and I peeked at it, it's still being used. So there's trails that come out over there, over here, and over here. And there's just a ton of heavy browsing coming out here and heavy trails here. So it's just a matter of if the deer walk past my scent. It was a rookie mistake. But I got the stand set up and I'm going to sit here anyways. I tried for a while to find some way from a distance to find a way to set up over there, and I just don't have one. I can't get to where I walked. Not off the ground, not out of a tree. And even the stand I'm set up in is not really that great. I mean, I am at 5 feet off the ground. I can get into it with one stick. Right here. I've got these sticks using the straps to hold the trees together to make it solid enough that the tree doesn't shake when I move, by tightening the straps around all the trees. I'm using the strength of all the trees. This bedding area is incredible. This could really turn into a good spot. Look at this rub over here, and the historical one next to it. Look at this one. Look how high that is again.
That's over waist high.
Look at this one.
It's definitely over waist high.
This is incredible here. And look at how far back in that is. I mean, a deer just to reach in there, taking some strength. And you got historical ones all the way around it. And beds all around here. I think we're onto something. This is the point we need to hunt the kingpin deer that's out in this swamp. I'm pretty sure of it. We're on them.
I agree. Oh, there's one way back there too.
Oh, I see it. A big one again. Yep.
Hi. Same guy.
Yep.
I wonder if that goes deeper in there.
Well, let's just take a really good look at this bedding area. Figure it out. Look at the exits that are coming out, because I'm starting to see some exits that go out a little different than what we were planning on hunting when we came in here.
Right.
So I want to know how he comes in and out of here, every which way. So when we hunt them, we're educated on that. So what we need to do is spend some time here and learn this.
Damn good idea.
Yeah. Okay, now this is a spot I can be a little bit more excited about. This is the entrance going into all the beds we looked. So we backtracked back to this spot to now find a tree, now that we know how the bedding is and how the deer come out. We followed all the different little exit trails coming back out of here. And there's two main exits, and they are right on the point. One to the right of the point, one to the left of the point. I tried to get up far enough where I can cover the whole point with one sit. You know, in any trail that comes out, I can't do it. There just isn't a way to set up there. Everything's this big around and thick. A jungle, you couldn't shoot from the ground. You'd have to mow a path and you'd spook every deer out of there. So we came back to here, and on this side, there's a lot of sign coming out of there, this way up towards the crops. On that side, there's a lot of sign going up out that way towards the acorns. So we're going to set up a spot here and set up a spot over there. And not really set up, but just kind of find a spot, a position, mark it, remember it, put it in a notebook. This is where we're going to come back and hunt. So this is the tree I picked out. Isn't it nice?
Beautiful.
I can almost get my fingers around it. There's a little bit of shake. They're coming from, see the trees through the cattails? They're coming right down this point here.
Yep.
They're coming right through here. There's rub lines all along there, or those big rubs. They come out right here and go through, and then they come out through here and go through. And right there's a big, big scrape.
Yep.
Right there. And all the big tracks are on these trails. So this is my tree. Beggars can't be choosers. This is what I got to work with. So I'm going to have my stand about a foot higher than my hand, and I'm going to face it probably that way, and I can shoot them over there, I can shoot them over there, and I'll be just above their flat look of eyes. And they're really, if you look at how open it is down here, there's no place I'm getting on the ground. I could, but I'd get busted easier than if I'm in this tree. There's all the little branches up there will blend me in nice, and I like the spot. This is the stuff I usually end up in. And most hunters are going to end up way back there. They're not going to hunt this stuff. There's really no trees around back here to hunt. Or they're going to hunt way off to the side where there's a tree.
I don't know, we'll see what
shoot
happens. I've lost a little bit of my confidence, but I still believe there's a big buck in the area and deer are going to come by, so we'll see. And if he gets to that opening, I will hear or see something. I can see a little bit through the brush. I probably won't be able to pick it up in camera, but I'll be able to actually get a glimpse or two through the heavy trees. We got a point that goes out here, and then it hits a little peninsula that goes through the cattails that has all the buck bedding on it that we found in spring, and heavy trails coming through here, and coming out over here where there's a scrape, and it is active, I checked, and a trail that goes through here really heavy. That bedding area was really pounded last year based on the sign in there. Last couple of years, basically.
This was bedded like crazy during the season. So early season. So I think we got to get out here early season and hunt that area where those stands are.
They're feeding right in here pretty heavy. We do have corn behind us, and the trails look like they eventually end up there, but they're really hitting this jewelweed and this stinging nettles in this lowland area really heavy. It's obvious the deer have been out here quite a bit. Hopefully I didn't do too much damage, but I like this spot even if I don't see something. I may come back in about 20-30 days and give it another shot after resting it. But you never know. Might be tonight. Rick is just over there. Probably a little bit out of sight, maybe 100 yards. And he's covering anything that comes out of that backside. And he might be better off than me, because if the deer get spooky over here, that's where they're going. We'll see. Now it's just time to sit back and wait. That doe fawn snuck up right behind me, and it was feeding right behind me, but it kept looking at me, so I couldn't get the camera on it till the last minute. It's only 4 o'clock. It just turned 4. It still had a few spots around its legs. I don't know where Mama is. But at least we had a deer in range. Pick a spot. Sure is interesting how stupid those fawns are next to an adult deer in this public. There's really not much ground cover here. I got a shot through there. There's a major trail coming out right there. A couple major trails go through right in here, but they kind of come from there. A couple major trails go right through here, and then there's a scrape over there. As you can see, there's no ground cover really. So I wanted to get up into this little tree here, but this is what the trees look like. So this tree was kind of straight and in the perfect spot, but it is also only about 3 inches in diameter and crooked, so I had to get the stand cantered to get it on there. But more importantly, the tree was shaking too much when I got in it, so I strapped the tree to around all the other trees and tightened it up and took the shake out of it so I could sit here. You can see some of the heavy trails that go through here. That right there is the swamp edge. Right there you dump into water and heavy cattails, and then there's a point that comes out into here. Rick's on that end of the point, and I'm on this end of the point. Spring scouting, we found some really good buck bedding right over in there and up in there, and it all comes down this point and in here. And these stinging nettles are eaten almost to the ground. Generally speaking, when a buck gets a little older, they bed out in the swamp a little more often. And the ones that are under 2 years old often bed up on this high ground until there's a little pressure puts them in there. You gotta hunt big bucks to kill big bucks. There's probably less deer down in that swamp, but they're bigger animals. So I'm set up looking at the swamp, not looking for stuff coming from behind. That's how that deer snuck up on me. I heard something to my right and I looked up and 2 does came running past. I couldn't even get the camera on in time. I tried to turn the camera on and they got into the trail. They went down the trail that we had walked down going in. I don't know if that's what spooked them or if there's hunters back further or what. But they ran right down the point into the swamp, not coming out of it.
Okay.
So then I figured that was it because it sounded like they just kept going. So I got my phone on and I knew that the way they were headed, they'd probably end up over by Rick. So I started texting Rick that there's 2 does coming. I text him, I put the phone in my pocket and I look up and there's a buck standing in the open looking at me. And I'm not sure if it was a shooter or not. I got the camera on, I don't know what you can see of it. There's a few deer standing there, but they're in the shadows. I don't know if the camera was aiming directly at them or not. I'll have to look at the footage. It looked like an older deer, but it was hard to see the rack. And but I could see something moving on its head. And then I got ready, but it was locked on me, staring at me. Obviously came in spooky because of the scent, and then it had 2 does fly past it, right? So it keeps like looking at me, and then it moved its head around sideways. I can see it had a lot of mass, but it had short tines, and probably 8 points. I think it might have been a 3-year-old. I don't know if it was a shooter or not. It didn't step out, it moved back. It started going back in where it came from. And I don't think I'd have shot it. But then I heard more deer coming, and a whole bunch of does came out. And I figured the hunt was ruined. I was going to take a big doe if one came by at that point. I had one at 25 yards, but they were on pins and needles, and when I shot, the thing ducked the arrow and ran back where it came from. We went in there and we made some mistakes, and because of that, we kind of screwed up the spot a little bit. But I would think that we could come back in about 30 days after letting it settle down and see what happens. However, coming out, we ran into a cell cam real close to where we were hunting. We walked right in front of it. So there are other people looking at that area. I don't think they're hunting where we're hunting because there's really no trees or nothing. There's no ground blinds. So I think they're back a little bit, but there's somebody in the area. So that might keep the deer a little nocturnal, which makes sense because the trail going in there looked a little too pounded to be just deer. And I thought those deer came out awfully late. So somebody's probably been screwing around with the cell cam and picking spots and stuff like that. So, well, that's just the first day.
Right. I only saw movement. I didn't see what it was.
Deerless and demoralized.